Hey, Road Warriors and Care Crew. Welcome to the Care in Motion podcast, the new home for the home health clinician. We're going to talk through stories and tips around safety, efficiency, clinical issues, and career pathways, all from the perspective of a few road warriors just like yourself to provide their insight. Our goal here is that you'll find this weekly podcast helpful, relatable, and interesting, but most importantly, wildly entertaining during your daily drive. I know this week we're talking about, I think this will be a really fun topic, the back office. You know, we called it Befriending the Back Office, but I know you guys have always talked about like working very, very closely with your schedulers. I know, Lisa, you mentioned that, you know, you're not going to have your same go-to that's one of your closest friends. But this is important, right? Like this makes or breaks your day a little bit.
100%.
Yeah, when you have a good working relationship with your schedulers, you know, so you guys have been doing home care for a long time. I've been doing home care for a long time, 19 years. You know, when you find a scheduler that has a great working relationship with you, and by that I mean they're willing to go above and beyond for you. Why? Probably out of the way that we respect them and communicate with them and tell them that we appreciate them. So like we have huddle calls a couple times a week. Whenever my schedule just like goes above and beyond, and so what would that look like? Well, I had 2 last minute cancellations. You know, Pat, do you have anyone that you can assign me like last second? And heck, I'm even walking into a patient's house right now. I need someone for like literally 45 minutes from now. Would you mind calling that patient? Like, I hate to make you go. And they'll do these types of things, but hey, Dan, I got you someone for 45 minutes. Just go. It's like these things make your day so much lighter and easier because of the things that they help you to how to recover from your curveballs. So I'll give them a shout out on Huddle and say, listen, Pat went above and beyond and just helped me out like crazy. I appreciate you. And I'll write that in my emails. And I think that when you do that, it just makes them want to work harder for you because they know how much you appreciate them. So having that open communication with them is just huge.
And think about how good Pat feels right now. There's one thing, you know, telling everybody on the huddle call, but now you're just like telling the world.
I even told the world about Pat in my course that I just did, because that's how big of an impact these really special people have. And I have to say, and this is, and I'll give you guys a second in 2 seconds, is that when I have other people covering, sometimes they don't do all the good that Pat does. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's one of those things where, and maybe that didn't come out right. Everyone has their own way of working things, and everyone does the best job that they can, and they're doing the best that they can at the time they're doing it. But you know that there's something special with certain schedules where you're like, they just are willing to go that next step to help you, and it just means the world, you know.
And I think well, thank you, Pat, first and foremost. But
Pat,
secondly,
come to me.
secondly, I think it's one of the most thankless jobs. I mean, at the end of the day, nothing will get done in home care without them. I mean, we don't know who's getting assigned to who and who's getting assigned where. And Pat and Dan, I think you were just mentioning it. Like, Pat understands how your flows, right? Your processes, that type of stuff. They know how many people you want to see. They know where you're gonna be, your area that you're taking people in. They know they're the first person you call probably when you have a curveball, when you got into a car accident or something. I mean, these people you establish pretty personal connections pretty quickly, and like at the end of the day, I mean, they can literally make or break your day. And I think,
Mhm.
when you scratch their back and help them get out of a situation where they have, a stack pile of evals that need to be seen, or a ortho case that needs to be seen today, and you're like, "Huh, all right, honey, I'm gonna be home a
Yep.
little bit later today." It makes a
Yeah.
difference because the next time, hey, give Pat that ortho. Oh no, he's off today. He can't get that. You know what I mean? Or they
Yep.
take that stuff into consideration. It's not so much you scratch my back, I scratch your back, but I mean, to some extent it is. And I mean, I think it just comes down to, you know, as a therapist, we have to, yeah, unfortunately, I'll share a sad side of it is that I've seen people get upset with schedulers. I've seen people belittle them. I've seen people, yell and scream. But
Hmm.
think back to what their job is or what their role is in the grand continuum, and there's probably many things that we don't think about that they do that as a therapist we would never think that they do. But their job is to help schedule. Their job is to get the patient seen by therapists, and that's all they're trying to do when they reach out to you 4 times in a row and be like, "Are you sure you really can't see this person?" Yes, yes, I cannot see this person. So
And also to that point, if we do get upset with them, I mean, think about, listen, this is a relationship that might be having for years. Like we have to be super careful with how we. Well, it just goes for anyone in everyday life. But I mean, truly, if we belittle or if we yell and show our how we're upset and we don't do it respectfully and professionally, it obviously can be it can negatively impact your future.
yeah,
Well, and
I think
I
it,
know too. Oh, go ahead, Lisa. Sorry.
I think it's really important having that relationship. I know I text my schedulers a lot all the time, saying thank you, checking in, emailing, everything like that. And they kind of know where I want to be, my territory and everything. And they'll still ask, but to know that they're trying to do, like what Brendan was saying, is they're trying to do their job, right? And they get something from the workflow, the plan of care got approved, and now they have all these visits out there that have to be scheduled where they got to go to someone, and that someone is you and the team, and they may have just got that visit last minute, and now you're getting it last minute and you're upset because you're getting it last minute when it really wasn't that scheduler's fault, right? They just got that visit. And it's hard to know kind of what really goes on in the back office because we're out in the field and they're in the office, and you a lot of times have this like butting of heads, but it really should be more of a like symbiotic relationship, right? That we are working for each other in a sense, so we can help each other out.
yeah. I
But
mean,
having that, building those relationships, and maybe I need to shout out my schedulers during our in-person meeting. I always go in and talk like before we even start our in-person meetings and just sit down and just have like a chit chat for 5-10 minutes and then go on about the day. But that relationship is really important for a field clinician and your scheduler.
and I think there are other people that reach out to us. Hey, Dan, how was your vacation? You went to the Bahamas last week. What, I mean, and oh, can you
I
take this
wish.
patient too? But right, and we talk about saunas and stuff, but I think they're the people that they have that human side too. They
Mhm.
understand it's a business. They understand people are doing this as a job or profession, but they also check in on you, right? They're kind of like the mental health checkers a little bit sometimes, just to get a pulse, or they'll go to. I mean, I've had schedules go to a manager and be like, "Hey, he's pushing it a little bit too much, right? He seems like he needs a little bit of a break. Is there anything we can do?" Like they go to bat for you, and I mean, would everybody? If you don't have the best relationship, no, you know what I mean. And I think having those simple human interaction, with them, not being so robotic in our movements, and just being able to see, "Hey, how's your day? Everything okay?" Or being, goes a long way. I mean, it goes a long way in the world in general. I mean, the crazy world we live in now, but I think especially for those that are so impactful on our day-to-day life, it's really. And the last thing I'll say, and then I'll speak, is that I see home health as, it's a bunch of chaos. Like there's no better way to describe it, right? There's 100 moving things at once. There's therapists here, there's nursing, there's this doctor, there's that. Like if you really plot it all out, it's like mass chaos. But those schedulers are what kind of help control that, and bring it in just for you. Now you have some control. Now you have some meaning behind it. So just
I was
something.
going to say, like the flip side of what you're saying is that like they're kind of like also your gatekeeper, because I know from like the business development side, it's like I'm always like, oh man, can we get, like, we've got somebody needs a ton of X, like orthos, or they just landed a new account in this area, like can we get these up to this particular guy or whatever. And they're like, no, he's already at 30 for the week. I'm like, yeah, I know, but he could take 2 more, right? And they're like, no, you don't understand. Anything over 30 is going to flip him out. You don't understand. I've known him for 5 years. We're not going to do that because it might fix whatever your issue is as of this moment, but it's going to create so many more issues for me down the line. So it's like they kind of know like your minimums and your maximums, and they know your area and what it's going to take to make you guys happy. Otherwise, everything gets out of whack.
Mm-hmm.
What about weekends for you guys? Like, so on weekends, I work with different schedulers, and there's a whole different way of going about things. Like, you don't know your schedule oftentimes until sometimes 9 a.m. on a Saturday, and then you got like 2 starts and this and that. So that can be touch and go. I mean, there's been times where I'm waiting for my schedule, and here I'm about to be dealt a full day, but I haven't been dealt it by 10:15, 10:30. Then I'm like getting stressed. I'm like, oh my gosh, and so and then you get an email at like 2, can you take another, and this and that, and it's like you just have to, I think, maintain the same the same type of work ethic that you always do, but on weekends there can be curveballs. You gotta kind of respectfully decline what you can't take and accept what you can. But how are weekends for you guys?
I think it's similar to what you just described. I mean, for me, it's a little bit more chaotic, but again, you have to realize it's not the person that you have that, symbiotic relationship with. Like you understand, what they want or what you need and everything else. And I mean, I think part of it that plays into the whole thing is just the protocols that your company has, right? What's the procedures? How are things set out? Like I know for us on weekend coverage, it has to be given to us by 6, the latest 7 o'clock the night before. So we know going in the next day, we know what to expect. We know what we're covering, everything else. And then we have a list of everybody who's working, everybody who we can reach out to, all that type of stuff. So it's pretty cut and dry, but I definitely agree with you that weekend, the timeliness of getting an eval, or hey, I had a revisit, but I needed it to be moved to Saturday and it got missed instead, or it got moved, or can you add, like, just the timeliness of things, and the
Yeah,
it's sometimes, and not, it's frustrating, you know what I mean, as at the end of the day, you, I, and Lisa, all we're trying to do is do our best to be a physical therapist. We don't have to worry about all the other crap. Sometimes I know we have to, but I mean, it's really nice when the stuff that should be there is
yeah,
there, right? and,
yeah.
and that's
Tell me
it's
where to
just
go.
like,
I'm gonna go. Like
exactly,
I'll go.
and
I
and
just need to
and
know where I'm going.
Yeah.
exactly. And it's like if I say it once and it's done, beautiful.
Can
I
you
am
imagine?
so
Can you
happy.
imagine?
But
Because
then when I
then,
have to call you and say, "Hey, Dan,
yeah.
I asked you for the revisit again. Where is it? Why is it not here?" And, "Oh, I'm waiting for auth." Okay, did you get auth yet? And like, there's no
Yeah.
communication.
Or my 2 start of cares literally said, "Why would you come on a Saturday? Like I didn't have a joint replacement. I just, I don't want to visit until next Wednesday at 4 p.m., And then you're scrambling. You're like, "Oh, it's 10 a.m. Can you give me 2 more starts?" Actually, I'd prefer none. No, just kidding.
Exactly, exactly.
You can call.
Yeah, and I think that's the rough spot, right? Is because they normally are the first line, and let's just say you have that great patient. We all know, like, but the scheduler is normally the first one to reach out, and they're like, "Hey, that Pat fella, he does not want to be seen at 8 o'clock. Just a heads up, and he
Let's
only
not
wants
mix
to be
and match
seen.
Pat. Pat's not a patient. Pat's a scheduler.
Hey, Pat, Pat.
And
Oh,
Pat's
well,
a
it's Pat
woman.
for Pat. It's Pat for Pat. Anyway." But they're kind of that first line of defense for us to protect us, right? At the end of the day, like, they kind of can give us a little insight to the patient or give us a heads up. Hey, FYI, hey, or I'll share this personal thing with my scheduler, since I'm newer to the company that I'm with. If they know the patient has been seen before by the company and they know something to help me better understand, they give me a heads up. Hey, this patient prefers that. And hey, that's critical information that they know from working in the business, in the field, and and they're passing along to me, and they know that because I am still newer to the. I mean, I'm only 6, 7 months into with this company, and they're trying to help me along to better establish myself and to have a good rapport so that I get off to a good foot with the patient, which we all knows that makes everything better in life, more efficiency, everything else that we speak about. So
What kind of stuff? Or sorry, go ahead, Lisa.
Oh, I was just going to say regarding the weekends, I currently don't work weekends at my company, which is very nice.
What?
No,
That's
Just stop
awesome.
talking, Lisa. Just stop.
I
Stop
struck a
that.
No,
deal.
no.
I struck a deal. But at
Good
my
for
old
you.
company, I used to have to work the weekends. And for me, that was a big thing because that's when I first started in home care, and I was strictly assisted living facilities or independent living facilities, memory cares, and I did not want to go into anybody's homes. I didn't feel safe. I didn't want to go, and I had to rotate weekends, and we were at a big ortho team, and we prioritize only orthos on the weekends supposedly, and I had to go into people's homes, and that was very tough for me initially starting out because I didn't want to be inside somebody's home by myself doing therapy. But we had our schedules done the day before, so I always knew what was coming up on my weekend schedule, and they were more prioritized visits versus just like a routine visit would be never be on there. We did have PTAs that worked the weekends for the high ortho caseload, but then I moved to Texas and now I do only homes. I just switched my mindset and here I am,
Side
not
note:
doing weekends though.
weekends can be really tough, right? Because at the end of the day, think about it. People who normally might not be home during the week, parents or caregivers or sons and daughters, they're
Mhm.
home. Kids are home, grandkids are visit. Like weekends can. I'm not saying they always are, but they can sometimes be a little bit of a mess. And if the
Mhm.
scheduler can give you any kind of heads up, or they kind of can make things clear on that initial call that hey, Brendan's going to be out to see you. He's doing your start of care. You didn't expect him to be out there for an hour and a half to 2 hours. He's going to be going over this. Like setting the standard even before we call, then that can very easily make or break your day, especially on the weekend, even if it's not your normal scheduler and stuff. So
Whenever,
Besides go ahead, Dan.
no, go for it. You can
I
go.
was just going to ask, like, talked about like you scratch my back, I scratch yours. Taking a couple of like last minute favors off their back. But do you guys to kind of do that quid pro quo thing? I mean, do you go out of your area for them, or do they not even broach that topic? I mean, what kind of ways can you sort of help them out so that you're on their good side?
Yeah, I mean, I think that like every now and again, if there's an outlier, hey, it's Friday afternoon. We have a revisit of a total need. The therapist is sick. Can anyone go into Bolton and see this patient? This is one of those situations where and it's like a reply all, and like there's like 10 therapists on. If I can help, I'm gonna help. Like you know, I finished a little bit early. I was hanging out at Costco looking at saunas. Sure, I'll go to Bolton. I'll I'll go see the total. You know what I mean? Like, no, but honestly, it's like, do we all have to go above and beyond at certain points? And sure, And I think I said this to you guys kind of as a joke, but like, we're all at different points in our lives and careers. Like, some of us are in our 20s and fresh out of college. When I was in my young 20s, I was jealous of nurses because they could do as much overtime as they wanted. I'm like, I want overtime. Like, I want to make big bucks. I want to like save for my upcoming family. And then I got into my 30s and I had young kids and I didn't have like any energy because we weren't sleeping through the night. And I was like, listen, I'll do whatever I can, but just know that my head is basically barely above the water. In my 40s, I'm kind of like, listen, like tired. Like I'll do it. What? I'm kidding. I'm being dramatic.
I'm
Like, yes,
crawling into my
I will go above
sauna.
and
Go away
beyond.
from me.
I just used to go above and beyond so much more. And I like, it's just, I think everyone's at a different point, and it doesn't mean that, I'm not going to try hard, but we all have our ups and downs, and
It's like you don't want to get the reputation as being the guy that always says no because he's in his 40s and in his sauna.
yeah,
Or,
yeah.
Lisa, you mentioned you don't want to abandon the shopping cart at Target, like you mentioned.
I do
but,
want to
but
abandon it.
but it's like balancing the like, don't take an advantage of me because I'm not always going to say yes. But it's like you got to sprinkle in that no.
But I
I
haven't
think
honestly. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think that's a big thing is to have like your boundaries too, right? Of knowing I'm not going to take everything. Because I was the same way as Dan. I was saying the schedulers used to come to me and say, I know I can come to you because I know you're going to say yes, right? I know you're going to go and you're going to get the job done.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
I then got to a point where I probably say no more than I say yes now, because I know what, I have my timeline of what I want to be able to do, and I have kids and I've got things going on. And yes, it's like, okay, I'm going to go above and beyond, but I'm going to go above and beyond for those, like, really those emergent situations that I'm triaging in my brain that make sense to me and that I'm available to do. But I'm okay with saying no, because we do have other coworkers that are saying, yes, give me anything and everything. I'll go anywhere you want. I'll drive the 45 minutes. Me, I'm like, hey, you were asking me to go 45 minutes away. Like, okay, but I'm going to add in an extra time for that. I'm going to add an extra half a point because I'm going 40 minutes outside of my territory, right? Because for me, I'm like, I don't work for free. I'm not gonna. You guys are salary, so that might be a little different. But if you go your 40 extra minutes, you might say, hey, yeah, give me that extra half a point because I want to capture time.
Isn't that automatic, or do you have to, basically say, I want this extra half a point? I know some point systems are like, you get an extra point for 100 miles a day. They're all structured differently, but
it's not automatic. No.
Yeah.
Not automatic for mine either. You
And
kind of have
people
to
don't know to ask for it or to even stick up for themselves in a sense. They're so, I'm just going to drive.
and that speaks to the whole thing that you were just talking about. It speaks to, like, I swear, when we're fresh out, and depending on our personalities, but a lot of us therapists and people who go into healthcare are like big doers and wanting to solve all the problems and wanting to go above and beyond. And I think that we have a hard time saying no until we realize, wow, like, this is going to be hard to sustain. Like, this momentum is going to be hard to sustain into my 30s, 40s, 50s, and whoever knows how long beyond, so you kind of have to learn at whatever point you need to, that I can't say yes all the time, and I have to draw some boundaries, and there's going to have to be times where I turn things down, and that's what, if we talk about reducing burnout and this and that, like, these are some of the reasons burnout happens. Like, we say yes to everything, we feel bad, we feel guilty for saying no, until you're like, dang it, I can't do this.
But
And
I
I
think
think
it goes. Go ahead, Lisa.
Also, I think, speaking on that point of saying no, I used to build it up in my head of, oh, it's going to be this big thing. Like, they're going to hate me if I say no.
Yeah.
And, oh, can you see this person? I go, no, I can't. I have a full schedule. And they go, okay, and move on,
Yeah.
So it's not a big deal as you might make it out to be.
No.
And then I think, how you say we are warriors, right? We're warriors. I think we come out of school we're in our Superman and Superwoman cape, and like, I can fix the world and fix you and fix everybody, right? I can fix everybody in this world. But as time goes on, you realize, hey, people have to have the motivation. People have to want to do it. You have to have the drive to do it. Like, what is your life like? Do you have kids? Do you have a spouse? Do you have, like, what are your responsibilities? And it all plays into it. And I think, having that relationship with your scheduler, to bring it back to that, is that, having, if they know you have kids, if they know you have to pick up your child from daycare at 3 o'clock, like, these little ins and outs, it can really help or make or break. And then Lisa, like you said, you won't feel guilty because they know that. They're like, hey, Lisa has to pick up her son at 3 o'clock from the school bus. All right, cool, boom, it's done. It's set in stone. Like, they know that. Now, no, there's always, again, to be respectful and be like, hey, I really can't do this, but you can try to, try call some of the other therapists. If you really need me to, I'll call my husband and see what we can do. You know what I mean? Like, there's ways to go about it, but I think, the important point you made, Lisa, was that don't feel guilty about it. I mean, if you're doing your mandated or required amount of work, you don't have to necessarily go above and beyond as much as, as you said, Dan, we may feel innately that as a physical therapist or occupational or any kind of home health clinician that we are, right? We feel like we want to do that. And that's where it's very tough. But I think, having those people to support us, those schedulers that say, hey, I'm not going to do that because I know their schedule. I know what they have going on their plate. It really makes a difference.
Yeah. So bringing it home, what's the one thing I can do tomorrow to maybe take one step forward with that relationship so that, and it's a platinum rule, right? Like treat others the way they want to be treated. So what, in genuinely and authentically, I mean, what's the one thing you can do to, take a step forward in that relationship, Lisa?
Buy them a sauna. I'm just kidding.
Besides that,
That's a good start. That's a good
I
start.
think saying thank you in your emails to your scheduler is a big one, right? Because sometimes we just fire them off. It's a one-word sentence, but I'll add, thank you with a smiley face or something, or have a good day. Just those little things to start with. Or if you're in the office, stopping by and say hi and just having a chat where it's not about your schedule. It's not about other things. It's just, hey, like, how's your week going? Right? How was your weekend? Or, oh, it's really cold out today. Whatever, to start your conversation and start building that rapport and that relationship.
Yeah. And you'll have to start doing that with a whole new person. What about you, Brendan?
I mean, right along with what Lisa's saying, it's the little things. Hey, maybe it's a coffee gift card around the holidays. Maybe it's a happy birthday when it's their birthday. Maybe it's like Dan has said, give them a shout out. It's little things really add up. And I mean, in this business where it's like I said before, it's a thankless job that they do. I mean, all the thanks that they get, all these little thanks really add up and make a difference at the end of the day.
Yeah. The power of thank you. I mean, it's such a simple thing. And I'll add, like, I appreciate you in my email. Like, when they have just hit a home run for me, I'm like, listen, you I literally used the word "you to bomb" today. Like, that's what I said when they got me, just, yeah. I mean, and also the shout outs on huddles, because I just feel like when they can be appreciated in front of others too, it goes a long way as well. So
public appreciation and accolade. So in that vein, you guys are the bomb. Appreciate
Thank
all
you. Thank you all.
Yes.
I appreciate you.
Yes.
I appreciate you.
Dan, your sauna is coming at some point, okay?
It's coming. And we are going to do a podcast from it, by the way.
Can we do a cold tub with it?
Clothed.
You can visit me in Texas in August, and you can have your personal outdoor sauna.
Ooh, I'll take that any day.
I will take a cold tub instead.
I prefer sweating my butt off rather than cold any day. Like, I feel like I was meant for Florida, but
you're
I was denied April break this year, so that's a topic for another day.
Well, thanks you guys for your time, and thanks everybody out there listening. Hope you picked up a couple of great tips from our experts here. And until next time, we will talk to you soon.
Appreciate you all.
Appreciate you.
We love you.
Yeah, bye, Pat.